I don't even know what happened. What do you do?
Okay, let's hear from our race winner. Excuse me. Tonight's 56th annual Federated Auto Parts 400. Our race winner, Carl Edwards. He drives the number 99 Frosted Flakes Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. He's joined by his owner, Jack Roush, his crew chief, Jimmy Finnick. This is Carl's 21st win in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series career, his second victory in 2013, his first win here at Richmond. Carl was the regular season points leader, you could say, 1 point ahead of Jimmy Johnson. And when we reseed, he comes in at fifth. What's that?
We're ahead of Jimmy in the points right now?
No, at the end of the regular season, you were.
That's what I mean. Well, it's the end of the regular season right now.
Yes, you are.
That's a hell of a deal, guys.
Yes.
Passed Jimmy like he was standing still right there, didn't
Exactly.
we? All right, well, hopefully we can keep that up.
Okay, so let's hear from our race winner, Carl. Certainly a big win here tonight for you. You got to tack on some extra bonus points. You got your first win at Richmond.
Yeah.
And just talk about that. It's always good to come into Chicago after a win.
Yeah, it'll make all the media stuff and the dinners and things a lot of fun this week. But really, I mean, tonight was about 3 points. That's what this was about. It was 3 points for our chase. I know firsthand. We all know up here what a point in the chase is worth. So we came here with the mission to get those 3 points. The last 3 weeks have been spectacular. We led a bunch of laps at Bristol, had an extremely fast race car, and then Atlanta went really well for the first half of the race. And then to come here and be able to have another week where we run up front, win the race, this is great. I'd say a month or two ago I wasn't so sure about our chances in the chase. Jimmy and I we had a meeting about that, and we talked about it, and it was not looking good. But we've turned things around. Jack and the guys have done a great job with the cars, and the pit crew specifically is spectacular. So really excited about going to run these 10 races.
Okay, we'll take. Let's hear now from owner Jack Roush. Jack, talk about Carl's performance out here tonight. He got 2 cars in the chase, and also a solid finish tonight by Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Tonight was a great night for us. In this business, you work behind the scenes, hard on your cars and hard on your engines, and suffer through the broken parts and the questions over the engineering prowess that's behind the cars. And sometimes it seems like there's no end to it. This is the third new configuration we've had in chassis for the cars this year. And as late as 10 o'clock this morning, Carl and I sat in the motorhome and talked about whether or not we thought our car had what it needed to be competitive here. And I came away thinking we maybe needed another car before we went to Loudon. And he come back with this kind of result. The car was competitive. Carl did a great job, and of course the pit crew and the 4 tires at the end made the difference. Jimmy was the man. He was no question that he was going to come down pit road and take 4 tires rather than 2, and to Campbell that he'd be able to hold off 4 tires behind him.
Thank you, Jack. And Jimmy Finnick, certainly a veteran of many of these types of races, and congratulations on getting into the chase, and maybe about the win here tonight and how you think that'll help the team the next 10 races.
Well, it was big to get the win tonight because that momentum going into the chase means a lot to everybody, to all the guys at the shop and everybody that's working hard. It's a big deal for them that we came out here with a win. So hopefully we can turn everything around. I mean, last month we started to turn things around, starting Watkins Glen, and hopefully we'll see what we can do in the chase then. But a win here is very special.
Okay, we'll take questions now for the winning team. Tom Jensen has the first one, and then we'll go to Stan.
Congratulations, guys. This is for Jack. Jack, it seems like almost every race this year is won on the final pit stop or on the final restart after the pit stop. You're an engineering guy, a car builder. How does that affect your strategy going into the chase? Do you do things differently now maybe than you would have 4, 5, 10 years ago because of the way the races seem to flow now?
Well, you've got to make an effort to make sure that you've got your best foot forward as it relates to your team, your tire change, your pit team. we've moved people around not for what their individual skills were, but what their ability was to have good positive chemistry together. If you got a front tire changer that's too fast and he intimidates the rear tire changer, that's not good. We made a change and put a tire changer on one of our teams that was not as fast as the guy that had it, and the overall team picked up its performance. So there's a human relations psychology dimension to it that I'm not the master of, that the guys work on, and that has come to fruition to the benefit of two of our teams that had a little bit of a problem this year. But the last couple of races, the pit stops on the 99 team have been just spectacular, and they were good at Atlanta for the 16 team until we broke a gun. So there's more to the racing, unfortunately, than just making horsepower out of the engine or making a good, reliable car that won't have its brakes fall off of it. You've got to have the athletic performance aspect of it as well. And I think that as I look at the engine, as I look at the car, as I look at the racetracks that are in front of us in the chase, and I look at our pit crew, I think that we've got more momentum than we've ever had as we look at going forward. Thanks, Tom.
Go ahead, Stan.
Stan Creekmore with RPM Tonight. The question is directed towards both Carl and Jimmy, if you will. Carl, throughout the entire season, you've talked about having to learn each other. And over the last 2-3 weeks, you've talked about you have learned each other, and that you're so much more beneficial to each other every time you try to race. How important do you think tonight's victory is to the momentum over the following 10 races, now that you've become so close, you and Jimmy, you and Carl?
Well, I think the last 3 weeks have been really good for our team, and that we've been able to just play it a little bit, take a little more risk, try things and make bigger changes than we've made. And as far as getting to know Jimmy, it's really been good for me to have him as a crew chief. He has a lot of experience. He doesn't pull any punches. He tells me exactly what he needs from me, and it's a really open, simple relationship. It's we're going to do whatever we can to win. And I told Jack, I think it was a year ago or so, we talked about having a crew chief that would just be somebody that would tell me what he needs out of me, and I will go do that. And Jimmy takes control of the whole team in that manner, and I think that's huge. We've had some really good runs. Phoenix was one because of our pit crew and Jimmy's decisions on the box. And then throughout the year, we struggled really had some struggles. Even though we did well in points, we were very slow at some races. And I think that forced us and Jack to make sure we're making the right changes when we make changes. It makes me be a little more communicative during the race, tell him what I need more. And now I think we're really close. Basically, when I tell him how the car's doing, it's just like Bob and I used to be. He tells me, hey, I'm thinking about making this adjustment, and that's the one I'm already thinking of. So I don't think we could be much better.
No, me and Carl get along good. We both want one thing is to win. So, but Carl, he sits there and debriefs great now, and we know what Carl wants. Well, he's 2 races behind. But when he debriefs in the truck with me and the engineers, and we'll go ahead and pick everything apart, and then before we make any changes, Carl know anything, or we'll talk about it as a team, put it that way, because this is what it's about. So, but we get along great right now.
Let's go over here to Barry, and then we'll go to the gentleman in the back. Go ahead, Barry.
Barry Richmond, Piedmont Broadcasting Corporation. This question is to Carl. In an earlier conversation, Jeff Gordon was talking about what to expect on that first lap going into the race with Keselowski and Busch on his tail. What was your take on the race as far as the complexion of it? Was it less eventful or pretty much what you anticipated?
Well, I just heard, just coming in here, I heard some stuff that had gone on. I didn't, as from the driver's standpoint, you don't really know all the things that happened during the race. But I was right behind Jeff when he had some sort of trouble. I don't know what happened to his car, but that was pretty huge. What was that? Does anybody know? Did he lose a cylinder or something? What was it? That was a loose wheel. So, I've been in the position as a driver of having to make it in. And at the end of the race, talking to Truex and realizing that he tied in points and made it in, and the fact that Newman had it in the bag basically, and then that didn't work out, and Joey got in and he's out. I mean, that's as dramatic I think as it can be. So I actually look forward to going back and watching this race someday just to see how it all played out. The emotions in the car, you guys. I mean, I can't describe how, from being in the position that those guys are in, how tough that is. And I hope they shared some of that with you because it's spectacular how hard it is as a driver to be in that position.
Let's go all the way in the back. Raise your hand, and we'll go to Jenna.
JP Beauchamp, Richmond Suburban Papers. This question is for you, Carl. Throughout the majority of the race, you were around 10th place or so, and I was wondering if there was a breaking point where you felt you could advance. You went like pretty much from 10th and then moved up within the top 5 for the last, fourth of the race or so. And I was wondering, was there like something that just kind of clicked or changed, or what caused that change in position, and maybe made you think that taking the race was within reach?
It's a good question. There were two things that happened. Our car was good on the long run, so when the run would start, 30 laps in, and that's when we could start to pick guys off and pass them. And then at the end, Jimmy made a couple of really good adjustments, and that added just that little extra speed for us off the corners, and we were able to get up there. Plus, there was a genius call on Jimmy's part to not pit, and we waited, and we saw that the 48 was having a little trouble, and then that caution came out, and that's what ratcheted us up to the front and put us in the lead. So a lot of little tiny things that add up to making it to the front. It was a battle all night.
Take 2 more questions, Jenna and Jim.
Jennifer, AP. Carl, I want to ask you about the last restart, the one where you took the lead. Slugger is claiming you jumped that final restart. I haven't heard anything from Paul, but I just wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, and I can understand why he'd be frustrated about that restart. What happened on that restart is Paul had 2 tires, and I knew that he was going to be at a big advantage with grip, or a big disadvantage with grip, and I think he knew the same thing. So he took off, and I waited until he went to go, and then as we were going, his car actually touched my door, and I think it surprised him a little bit or something. He turned a little bit, and I heard his engine speed up, and he spun the tires. And at that point, I really have a choice. I had a choice to either lift off the throttle and wait for him to try to gather it up, which I've never seen a guy able to gather it up too quickly when they spin that bad, or just keep going and hope NASCAR understands that he spun his tires. And in this case, they did. They understood that he came up there and hit me and spun his tires. And I'm really the guy in second place in that circumstance in a tough position. If I'd have lifted and waited, I think the whole field would have run over us. I mean, you just can't. So if he'd had 4 tires, it probably would have been different.
Okay, we'll let you gentlemen go.